No, I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery and they want to hide their secrets. And I just love digging away to find out what they don't want to.
Why Meghan?
Well, because she posed a challenge to the royal family, and she's a fascinating person. I mean, she's a person who started from nothing and has become a world global star. And that route to the top has never really been properly reported and examined and investigated.
Each day, I post a new video exploring recent developments surrounding Meghan Markle and the royal family. If this continuing saga interests you, you're welcome to subscribe, like, or leave a comment. It means more than you know. Thank you for being here. Now, on to today's story. What if one of the most talked about royal stories isn't what it looked like at all, and now insiders are finally speaking up? That question is blowing up online right now.
And I must say, it's always beyond Meghan. Meghan doesn't believe in reconciliation. Look at her appalling relationship with her father. She's a hardened.
Lady C and Tom Bower have dropped some shocking claims about Meghan, and people can't stop reacting. Fans are doing double takes, replaying old clips, zooming into photos, and asking one thing again and again. What really happened behind the scenes? According to these reports, doubts are being raised about Meghan's pregnancy timeline, and the internet is spiraling with theories. Supporters are clapping back hard, while critics are lining up details they think don't add up. Moments that once seemed totally normal are now being picked apart from every angle. It's messy, loud, and non-stop drama, but here's where it turns even more intense. Are these just strong opinions, or is there something deeper people missed this whole time? Lady C and Tom Bower aren't known for staying quiet, and their latest claims are turning up the heat in a major way. Now it's starting to look like Meghan Markle's legal team made a bold move, but it might come with serious consequences.
I personally think there are times when he should have. You are absolutely right. The book is littered with inconsistencies and anomalies, where Harry is on the one hand raging about people and how terrible they are because they are doing to him exactly what he is doing to someone else. But he's a wonderful person. But
going after Lady Colin Campbell, who's been tied to royal stories for decades, and Tom Bower, an investigator known for digging into powerful figures, is not a small step. That kind of move doesn't silence people. It sets things off. And if Prince Harry actually moves forward with legal action, this situation could escalate fast. Courtrooms aren't neat or controlled like people think. They open everything up. Records get pulled, timelines get questioned, and private messages can come into the spotlight. People are already talking about documents, dates, and behind-the-scenes details that some believe have stayed hidden for years. Once something reaches that level, nothing stays locked away. Every piece of information can be examined. And then there's Lady C, calm, steady, almost unfazed. She looks straight ahead with quiet confidence, like she knows more than she's saying. No panic, no pressure, just control. Meanwhile, reports claim investigators have been going through records in both London and California, digging deeper and deeper as this story keeps growing louder. And now what they've found, or didn't find, is setting off serious whispers behind palace walls. People are talking quietly, but the tension is loud, so the big question keeps coming up. What do Lady C and Tom Bower actually know that's making Meghan's legal team uneasy? And then there's that one idea that just won't go away, a simple DNA test. Commentators keep saying it could shut down years of rumors in one move, yet somehow it never happens, and that only adds more curiosity. Think about it.
All Samantha's questions from her lawyers, whether she lied about Samantha, about Thomas Markle in her notorious interview with Oprah Winfrey. So that's a major breakthrough for Samantha Markle, for Thomas Markle, and for the...
You've seen situations like this before. Legal warnings get sent, pressure builds, and the goal is to make people back off. It's a strategy. Create noise, raise the stakes, and hope critics go silent. But here's where things could flip completely. If a defamation case actually gets filed, everything changes fast. Discovery kicks in, and suddenly lawyers can start asking for everything. Documents, timelines, messages, every detail tied to the claims can be pulled into the spotlight. That could mean records people never expected to be discussed publicly, official documents, timelines, even private communications, information that's been protected for years could suddenly be reviewed in a legal setting. Legal analysts have made one thing clear. If Prince Harry moves forward with action against Lady C or Tom Bower, it could seriously backfire.
I was shocked to hear that. I mean, is that who he is?
Well, I think Harry is a very complicated person because he's not very intelligent and undoubtedly remains damaged by the early death of his mother, Diana. And he very foolishly blames the media for her, in his words, murdered her, which is complete nonsense. But I think he loved the adulation. He loved it when he was being praised, especially when he was a soldier. But then he became critical.
It might open the door to the exact kind of records and details that have been at the centre of all this talk. And then there's the Meghan Markle lawsuit, which is already showing how intense and revealing these cases can get. What some people once dismissed is now being taken much more seriously. Reports claim Meghan could be required to give a formal deposition under oath by July. That means answering questions she hasn't had to face publicly before, and doing it on the record. Once things reach court, everything speeds up. It's no longer about headlines or online debates. It's about evidence, proof, and what can actually be backed up. Critics have pointed out that clear proof hasn't always been front and centre in these discussions, and that's why this moment feels so big. One thing is clear: Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower are not random voices chasing attention, and their involvement is keeping this story alive and intense. These aren't just random commentators jumping into the noise. These are people with deep roots in royal reporting. Lady C has spent decades writing about the royal family, building connections and sources that go far back into those inner circles. Over time, she's made claims that many brushed off at first, only for some of those details to later gain real attention. That history is exactly why people stop and listen when she speaks now. Then there's Tom Bower, bringing a different kind of pressure, but just as strong. He's known across Britain as a relentless investigative author who doesn't back down. His book, Revenge, reportedly stirred major frustration inside the Sussex circle when it was released. Throughout his career, Bower has taken on powerful names, digging into records, speaking with insiders, and exposing details many would rather keep hidden.
I think it's mixed. I think that once she saw Meghan when she came to London in 2016, 2018, and she reached out to Victoria to get freebies.
What's making this moment even more intense is the claim that certain records have already been examined. Reports suggest Bower's team looked into files connected to Portland Hospital in London and Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in California, two places often linked to the births of Harry and Meghan's children. Investigators were said to be searching for the standard paper trail you'd expect from any major medical event: confirmations, records, and routine documentation. But according to Lady C, there may be gaps that raise questions. She points to concerns around timelines, private communications, and even individuals who were present and could potentially speak.
Or shall we say, stretching the truth, could the single case see Harry caught up in his own web of lies? Well, to answer this and much more, I'm delighted to welcome the world's top royal author. He, of course, published Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors, Tom Bower. So, Tom, this feels like a significant development tonight. What's happening?
Well, if I was Meghan, I'd be undoubtedly very worried tonight. What the judge just...
That's where things start to feel even more serious, because it shifts from online chatter to claims of missing or unclear details. What really adds a twist is that she didn't believe the early rumours at all. When the speculation first showed up online, she dismissed it completely, seeing it as too extreme to take seriously. At the time, it sounded like something no credible voice would even touch. But then things changed quickly. Calls started coming in, journalists began asking questions, and sources connected to palace circles quietly admitted they felt uneasy about certain details. Step by step, what started as random online chatter began turning into something people couldn't ignore. Lady C says she shifted her focus to what was actually seen in public, and what might have been happening quietly behind palace doors. And according to reports, even behind the scenes, the situation didn't sit comfortably with everyone. The expectation had always been simple. A traditional royal birth announcement at St Mary's Hospital in Paddington would clear everything up instantly. That location has a long history with royal births, where details are usually laid out clearly. Doctors are named, consultants are identified, and the process feels open and transparent. That kind of clarity usually shuts down speculation before it even starts. But this time, critics say something felt different. There were no publicly named doctors, no listed consultants, none of the usual details people expect with royal announcements. And when that kind of silence shows up, questions don't stay quiet. They build fast and spread even faster. Then attention shifted to commentary from medical professionals reacting to public appearances.
That Samantha only called herself Markle when Meghan was engaged to Harry, which Samantha says is a total lie. Interestingly, Samantha also says that Meghan's story about having a Ford Explorer where she could only get in through the boot was also untrue. She goes through a whole load of Meghan's lies. So by July, that is what the judge has said, these depositions, this cross-examination of Meghan will take place for the trial to start in October. So Meghan really has a problem because until today, her lawyers have been saying this is so ridiculous, we refuse to even engage with Samantha Markle.
A retired labour and delivery nurse with over 30 years of experience reportedly said she had never seen a pregnancy bump behave in that way. In photos, a retired midwife shared a similar reaction, pointing out details that didn't match what they were used to seeing. Some observers claimed the bump appeared to change size on different days, while others said it even looked slightly different within the same appearance. Those observations quickly spread online, adding more fuel to an already intense conversation. One moment that really got people talking was the Fashion Awards event, where Meghan was seen holding her belly throughout the night, something some commentators described as unusual. Then there's the clip people keep bringing up, where she briefly crouched while wearing high heels. Some midwives later commented that the movement looked challenging for someone in the later stages of pregnancy.
When I was pregnant, and Harry says, oh, there was a little discussion before we got married. Well, something's wrong right there.
And that only pushed the discussion even further into the spotlight.
Amen.
And there's another moment people still can't stop talking about, the purple dress and red coat appearance. Observers claim the bump looked positioned differently before and after a meeting on the very same day, and that detail has kept people watching those clips over and over again. Lady C also pointed out something many completely overlooked, the exact wording used in the birth announcements. Both statements said the child was born for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, not to them. She argues that in precise English, children are usually described as being born to the parents who carried the pregnancy. So when the phrase born for appears, she suggests it can sometimes hint at a different kind of arrangement. What really grabbed attention is that the same wording reportedly appeared in 2 separate announcements. Some people believe it was just a simple wording choice, nothing more. But Lady C strongly disagrees. She believes phrasing like that doesn't just happen by accident, especially in official royal statements where every word is carefully chosen. Then Tom Bower's reported investigation adds another layer to the story. His team looked into records connected to Portland Hospital in London and Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in California, 2 locations often linked to the births.
Meghan left Britain and then did the Oprah Winfrey interview has been really poisonous.
He has more power than the courts and the king. That's what he's trying to do. He's getting the government to undermine the legal system and the institution of the monarchy. It couldn't be simpler. Harry has security when he comes to this country. It's assessed on a case-by-case basis. If he stays in a palace, and he's offered to stay in palaces, and refuses to do so, because he's trying to manipulate the system.
But according to ongoing discussions, they didn't find the kind of clear, publicly confirmed documentation many expected to see, and that's exactly what's keeping the conversation going strong. That lack of clarity has kept debates active online, and it's only getting louder as more people weigh in. Then came a major TV moment, when an American network was given exclusive access to Archie's first public appearance. The same network already had connections to Oprah Winfrey, who later worked with Harry and Meghan on several projects. Tom Bower's take adds even more intrigue. He suggests that the secrecy around certain moments may not have been only about privacy, but could also connect to media strategy and business interests. That idea has people questioning even more about what was really happening behind the scenes. Then there's a moment Harry created himself, and people are still replaying it again and again. During a short interview near some stables, he said the baby had changed so much in 2 weeks. Meghan, standing right beside him, quickly corrected it. 2 days. 2 weeks, 2 days. It was a quick exchange and no one followed up at the time, but that clip stuck with viewers and keeps resurfacing in discussions. Behind the scenes, reports claim the pressure has been building fast. Sources describe Harry as frustrated, losing sleep, pacing late at night, and constantly checking coverage as people continue to analyze every small detail. The spotlight hasn't eased up, it's only getting more intense. There are also claims that legal advisors have been weighing serious action against Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower, but Lady C's response caught a lot of people off guard. No panic, no hesitation, no softening her position at all.
Tom Bower, where he doesn't go there. But he does go there as far as the fact that they wanted to keep the birth private and all the secrecy around that, and even the fact that...
She responded directly, saying, "Let him sue me," and that line hit hard across media and online conversations. Lady C clearly understands the weight of a statement like that. She knows exactly what stepping into a courtroom could mean, and what might happen once legal rules take over, because the same courtroom Prince Harry is reportedly considering could become the place where claims, sources and records are fully examined in public view. Tom Bower responded with that same level of confidence. No retreat, no backing down. He has said he stands by his work, explaining that his research includes sources, documents, testimony and material that can't simply be dismissed by legal pressure.
Had to admit that actually those stories had been published by other newspapers, days prior, and that's where they got the information from. Or the fact sometimes the palace released information themselves and Prince Harry wasn't aware of it, or the fact that it was just sources and friends or people close to Prince Harry.
The message from both sides feels clear. Go ahead, file it. Legal analysts say this could get very complicated if it turns into a defamation case. The person bringing the claim would need to prove the statements were false using solid evidence, records, timelines, and verifiable facts. That kind of material gets examined line by line, and once that process starts, things can become far more revealing than anyone expected. Other legal battles have already shown how quickly cases like this can open doors to deeper scrutiny. And in past situations involving media coverage around Prince Harry, once things reached that level, the details didn't stay hidden for long. It's already been acknowledged that some of these stories first showed up in newspapers or came from sources close to royal circles. At times, even palace communications have played a role in how information reached the press. But if a case like this actually moves forward, one word suddenly takes over everything: discovery. This is the stage where both sides can demand evidence tied directly to the claims, and it can open doors people never expected to see opened. That's exactly why so many legal commentators warn that lawsuits don't stay neat or controlled. They can expand fast, pulling in details that were never meant to be public. What starts as one issue can quickly grow into something much bigger, with new layers being exposed along the way.
Is it possible the ghostwriter dislikes Harry? I know people who know him. I've heard interesting things about him. I know he's, as I have said previously, very into the 12-step program and the whole druggy-alky business. It is not the job of a ghostwriter to do anything but put the thoughts of the incompetent who requires a ghostwriter.
Which is very revelatory, as you know, about Meghan and Harry. I got absolutely no help from the palace whatsoever, on the contrary.
The public reaction has been intense, and it's not slowing down. Comment sections are flooded with the same message repeated again and again. Take it to court. Many people say they want to see everything tested under real legal questioning instead of interviews or media statements. Because court is a completely different environment. No polished talking points, no selective answers, no carefully managed messaging. Inside a courtroom, witnesses face direct questions, and every answer is put on the record. There's no room to reshape the narrative once it's said out loud under oath. That's what makes this moment feel so high stakes, with so many people watching closely. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Harry and Meghan have often spoken about transparency and wanting their truth to be heard, which is why this situation is drawing even more attention. At the same time, critics argue that legal pressure is now being directed at authors who are raising questions that, in theory, could be addressed with clear documentation. That tension is exactly what's driving this story forward and keeping it in the spotlight. Meanwhile, the royal household has remained completely silent through most of it. No detailed responses, no strong pushback, just the usual line that the palace does not engage in speculation. It's a short statement. but it shuts everything down without giving anything away. And the reason this story keeps pulling so much attention isn't just about headlines or online debates. It runs deeper than that.
I think more people want something in-depth in terms of the review of the Tom Bower book than don't. So some people just wanted one episode, other people want more. Is married to a professional journalist who was the editress of the Evening Standard.
British royal succession laws have been in place for centuries, and anything that even hints at uncertainty around those traditions is always going to spark serious interest and intense discussion. And one key principle has always stood at the centre of it all: heirs must be born of the body. That rule has long been treated as a core part of how the royal line is defined and protected. So if the questions raised by Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower were ever to gain real legal traction, the impact could be massive. At that point, this wouldn't just be talk anymore. It would move into serious legal territory tied directly to royal succession. And if anything ever reached a courtroom where official answers were required, the implications for Archie and Lilibet's place in that line would be huge. That's why, according to several commentators, constitutional lawyers are said to be quietly discussing this situation behind closed doors. Nothing loud or public, just careful conversations happening out of view, where every detail is being considered. And there's another point that royal watchers keep bringing up. The visible distance between King Charles and the Sussex children has not gone unnoticed. When people compare it to William and Catherine's family, the contrast stands out clearly. Their children are often seen in photos, public appearances, celebrations, and official events, with a strong sense of connection on display. But when it comes to Archie and Lilibet, the public sees very little, just occasional glimpses, and that's it. Some insiders suggest that distance could be intentional, possibly a cautious decision to avoid drawing more attention to an already sensitive situation. And through all of this, one idea keeps coming up again and again: a DNA test. Lady C has mentioned it, Bower has mentioned it, and countless people online continue to repeat it with growing frustration.
Well, he does it because he needs a profile. That's the only way they can get money, by showing a profile. And for Netflix, everything is built around the future documentary series to promote the Sussex.
I had always looked at it more as, oh, she landed this prince. That's what she was out for. We know that she was hunting for someone of wealth, of notoriety in Great Britain, and she landed, the biggest you could land. But it worked the other way too. He was feeling irrelevant. She comes along. She's a, somewhat well-known person, or at least that was his impression. And she's mixed race. She could elevate his star as well. It worked both ways.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, what I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013 onwards.
Many believe that if everything is exactly as presented, one simple test could clear the air immediately and shut down the entire debate. Critics argue that a single move like that could change everything overnight, which is exactly why the pressure and speculation refuse to fade. It would seriously damage Lady C's credibility, shut down Bower's investigation, and silence years of rumours in a single moment. That's exactly why the same question keeps coming up again and again. Why hasn't that simple step happened? With every passing day, the lack of a clear answer only raises more eyebrows and keeps people talking. And instead of direct clarification, each new legal warning seems to add even more tension. Some observers are starting to believe that transparency might be the one thing Harry and Meghan are trying to avoid. That idea alone is fueling even more debate across social media and public discussions. Tom Bower has been especially direct about how he views the pressure behind all of this. In his opinion, life after stepping away from royal duties depends heavily on their public image, the devoted family, the humanitarian identity, and the powerful story that captured global attention. That image, according to his perspective, is everything. Critics argue that even small cracks in that image could lead to serious consequences, and right now those cracks are becoming harder for some people to ignore. Bower reportedly said they are cornered while discussing the situation, suggesting the pressure is building from all sides. He believes the more the couple tries to control the narrative through legal warnings, the more it raises suspicion among observers. And that reaction is only making the situation feel even bigger, louder, and more intense with every new development.
I wonder, when you watched Meghan Markle speak out, what went through your mind?
Public service, it's a bright, sharp, hot spotlight, and most people don't understand it, nor should they. The thing that I always keep in mind is that none of this is about us in public service. It's about the people that we serve. I always try to push the light back out and focus it on the folks that we're actually here to serve.
Accusation, Oprah Winfrey. Also, I think they're reserving that sort of attack for Meghan's own book, for which we must now look forward in the year's time.
Lady C has also been very direct when it comes to the financial side of all this. She claims Meghan once believed Prince Harry had access to massive wealth when they got married. But in reality, much of his financial stability was tied to the royal system he later stepped away from, and that creates a complicated situation. They still need the spotlight to maintain their global image, but that same spotlight brings pressure, more scrutiny, more questions, and more attention on every single controversy connected to them. It's a constant cycle that doesn't seem to slow down. So here's where things stand right now. Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower are not backing down at all. If anything, the idea of legal action seems to have made them even more confident in what they claim they could present if this ever reached a courtroom. At the same time, the Samantha Markle deposition process is already moving forward, the palace remains silent, and legal experts are watching every move closely. Across media and online discussions, one phrase from Lady C keeps getting louder: "Let him sue me." That line alone has added serious intensity to an already heated situation. Now the real question is, will Prince Harry actually take that step? Or will this stay in the world of public debate without ever reaching a courtroom? And if it does go legal, what do you think would actually come out once everything is examined under oath? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think about this situation. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with anyone following the story, because this is far from over and things could shift at any moment.